Hello and welcome to the W Basketball Show. My name is Lukas. I'm your host as always, joined today by, I guess, a co-chair, Marco. Marco, how are you?
Good, Lucas. Thanks for having me. Nifty new intro you got there,
Oh,
buddy.
you heard that,
Love
did
it.
you?
Of course
yes,
I did.
The intro era is here. Just 5 or 6 or 7 episodes in.
And long may it rain.
And long may it
Long
rain.
may it rain.
Because we are not investing in another one anytime soon.
How much did you invest in it?
No, I invested in it.
Really?
Yeah.
Financially? You put it in the spreadsheet then?
I did.
Peek behind the kimono here.
We have a spreadsheet, a shared spreadsheet. Yeah. Actually, I was using that shared spreadsheet just today to put what we've just already talked about into it. And Sean, our tech guy.
Yeah, or our CEO, something between those two things.
CEO
CTO, Chief Technical Officer.
CTG, Chief Tech Guy.
Yeah, right. Nice.
CEO/IT guy, Sean. He's already set up the expenses sheet with like formatting, and not only that, Marco.
Color coding?
No, I can't remember what it's called. Equations.
Oh, yeah.
Equations.
Yeah, of course he has.
It was insane.
I haven't even looked at it. I know exactly what it looks like.
Do you?
No. But I can imagine how it functions.
Anyway, this is the W, and it started off quite a lot like a JVG episode.
Hey, don't tell them that though.
But yeah, you guys don't have to get told that.
This is people whose first experience listening to this podcast is hearing from WNBA champion Kayla George, and their second experience is this.
WNBA champion winning teams. A guy that goes for the WNBA champions. Actually, back-to-back WNBA champions. Congratulations for that.
Thanks. You haven't congratulated me yet, actually. So.
Is that true?
Yeah.
I think I texted you.
Not on air.
Not live on national television.
I don't think it was a congratulations. I think it was more like, oh my god.
Yeah,
What was that?
Yeah, I didn't expect it to be game 4.
Yeah.
But here we are talking about it. Anywho, the new intro. What are your thoughts? Do you like
it's great. I really like it.
I love
think
it.
Captures exactly what you wanted from it.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And then also our music editor at large / CEO, Seamus Boyd. Shout out to him. Thank you, Seamus. You really killed it. Also, Marco and I went to a party on the weekend. And I think a great party, by the way. But I think best part was probably when Seamus was playing music.
Yeah, that was really good.
He's insane.
Yeah.
He's so talented.
I'd forgotten about how talented he is.
Yeah.
I moonlight as a radio host in the real world, and I try to play his music as often as I can because it's so good, and he does like zero self promotion.
Yeah.
Like he's just completely like he has no interest in promoting himself.
Yeah.
He's so talented.
Yeah, it's pure passion. He truly just loves making things he likes to make.
Yeah.
Not only music, art as well. So thank you so much, Seamus. I hope we do your work proud with every episode of the W.
I'm sure you will, mate.
Hopefully. Anyway, today's episode. Today's episode we're going to do just a couple of minutes on each WNBL team. After 2 rounds, most teams have played 2 games. Some teams have played 3 games. Would you believe? Let me get the ladder up. I had to click the leaders instead.
Every time you look at basketball early in the season, it's just like completely uneven in how much basketball every team has played.
Yeah.
But we're going to paint some broad brush strokes with the little information that we have.
Yeah, and again cross promote the JVG show. This isn't way too early hot takes. This is more like way too early. Not way too early, but just like early themes, early scenes. What's going on in the league? Let's check in with every team and maybe check in with them later.
And I feel like because you didn't get the opportunity to profile or preview every single team in the league either. So it could be a good opportunity for maybe you to be like, this is what I was expecting, but this is where we sit.
Yeah, I never thought of it like that.
Well,
it's like a re-preview.
Yeah,
it's both of them at the same time.
Exactly right. A view, if you will.
Yes, of course, what you said. Let's start with let's do the grand finalists from the season ago. Let's do them together because they also played on the weekend. So we are, of course, you go on.
Grand final replay, Townsville Fire, Southside Flyers. Very, very close game. Townsville's first loss in 18 games ended a 17-game winning streak, stretching all the way back to last season. 75-74 to the Flyers. What were your takeaways from this game, Lucas?
Takeaways from this game. I think that both of these teams are definitely like haven't missed a beat. They're still like the identity of being grand finalists from a season ago is something they've kind of taken in stride, and they've both tried to build upon it. I think they definitely look like the two best teams early on. I think there's a lot of good signs around the league, but these two teams seem to be playing within their means, like I feel like Perth, for instance, and we'll get onto them in a bit more depth later. But I feel like they're really firing on all cylinders, whereas it feels like Townsville and Southside still have like, you know, they can still improve on their game, like who knows, like 120, 130%. But they've started off the season really well, really ready, and they're both so varied in everything, like balanced offensively, balls moving, great defensively, great talent, and then also they're both really desperate teams as well. Like I feel like I can remember a few times in their matchup where, yeah, you have like these like incredibly talented basketballers, like diving on loose balls and stuff, and yeah, there's just that kind of like desperation that maybe a more experienced or a title favorite team you wouldn't expect them to have, but I think maybe that's what, you know, puts them over the edge.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that Townsville, who, I mean, you know, obviously having such a great program, having such a great system, but like last season also just being the vibes team, like you know, having the most active crowd, being on this like insane winning streak, etc., etc., etc. Like it's almost weirdly a good thing for them to lose a game like this early in the season, where it's like, all right, you know, everyone saw what we did last year, everyone understands our game plan, and everyone, I think, you know, the good teams have gotten better very clearly in the off season, and so I think it's almost not so bad to have lost a game this early in the season to like a fellow contender, where it's kind of a bit of a, you know, I guess a reality check, but also, you know, just sort of notice that it's like, all right, it's not going to be this like crazy run that it was last year. It's going to be like much more metered. Everyone's going to know what they're coming up against. And then like, yeah, on the Southside side of thing, I think Matty Rocci and Mercedes Russell they just look like the most formidable duo in the WNBL. Like they've just had, I feel like they've each had 3 monster games, like back to back in these first 3 games of the season for the Flyers. Yeah.
Rocci had that crazy game. It was like, I can't remember.
28, 7 and 7.
That's
better
insane.
than LeBron James.
LeBron could never. And yeah, Mercedes Russell, you know, go figure, has fit in like so naturally on both ends. As a Storm fan, I feel like whenever she takes like a mid-ranger or a short-range shot, I swear her release doesn't look as good as it's been looking for Southside.
Yeah.
Like it looks so clean every time. I can't even picture her missing one like in a Southside uniform. But yeah, both of these teams they've really set the bar high. I like what you said about Townsville getting a loss early. Maybe being a good thing for them. Maybe like being more of a reality, not a reality check, but bringing them back down to earth. You know, who knows if this winning streak went on like 10 more games, like these are fucking great basketball players. Yeah, but now I gotta put the E on this. I was trying to avoid that. Townsville have like insanely good talent, but after a while, surely it gets to you like, what are the lessons, you know?
Yeah.
And like, how long is this gonna last?
Exactly. Like even when you've won a championship off the back of like one of the most impressive WNBL seasons, like you need to grow year on year. Like you can't just be like, okay, cool, we're the best team in the league and we're just gonna stay here. Like there needs to be some sort of natural progression. Yeah, like you see it in all sports. Like good teams add new players. I mean, yeah, they added Sammy Whitcomb in the off season, which is like, for the champions to do that is just like such a huge coup. Yeah. But you know, like you can't just sort of stay the same and ride the same wave, and even play the same. Like because how many times do you see teams' offenses get found out? Like I don't know, 12 months into a coach's career with them. Like
and Connect coming to the team. And just like those two players just fitting so seamlessly into the starting lineup. I think great signs for both of these teams. Also, LJ, I feel like she is looking like more of an athlete than she did last season. And I feel like she'll kind of play into... I don't know, I think she'll be better than she was last season come season's end, like come the end of the regular season. And her splits, I was looking at them earlier. I think she's like 1 of 10 from 3 or something. And yeah, she's just hyper inefficient right now. And you know those numbers are going to get better. Yeah. And then once she's firing, that'll just open up the court for the rest of the team so much.
Man, it's just such an insane, although correct assumption. It's such an insane assumption that like 42-year-old Lauren Jackson is just gonna like start playing at an elite level at some point in this season, and she will. No, I completely agree with you.
Yeah. Should we move on to Perth and Adelaide?
Yeah.
Who also played this round? Yeah. Wait, was it this round? Wait, it was within the first 2 rounds.
I think it might even have been the
last game of the round.
Oh no, maybe Melbourne Sydney play. It was the last game of the round.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Anyway, they played within the last 2 weeks, so maybe we don't need to get into the pedantics.
Two very exciting teams here as well. Like Perth have obviously come out to like such a hot start. Annalie Maley pulling down 21 boards in a debut for them. And like the Lightning, I like their record. They're 1-2 over these 3 games. I don't think it really speaks to kind of how fun and young and exciting they are. Izzy Boys is insane. Like 19 years old, 5'11", 3-level scorer, insane defender. So like I think they're going to be a big team to watch. What was your takeaway from this game, Lucas?
So I feel like kind of spoke to Perth's ability to stay in their own game, and early on it felt like Adelaide wanted to play at this like faster pace than usual, and Perth wanted to like run. And I feel like Perth kind of set the tone, and Adelaide were ready to match it. I don't think they wanted to match it at such a high pace early on, but Borlase was crazy. Like 3 seconds in, had that layup.
Yeah.
Brianna Turner's just like running the offense. Like, man, she's doing everything. She has all the tools and she's using them all as well. And it's just so nice to see.
Yeah.
And like her playmaking from the elbow and at the top of the key is really good and really promising. But yeah, I feel like Adelaide brought this one game, Perth brought another. I think they were playing within the framework of Perth's game, but Adelaide were having success early on. But I think when you play in the framework of a team from so early on, even though Adelaide got to like out to 10 points at the end of the first quarter, that's still not that big of a lead when Perth kind of never lost their identity. And it must be so fun to be a Perth fan. Yeah. You're like, this team is gonna just win or lose. They're going to have given like each other the best chance to win every game. And they just make the ball such a threat, and they're so happy when each other shoots.
Yeah,
like they're like it's such a they're playing so cohesively already.
Yeah, and I was really impressed by how Adelaide matched that in that first quarter. Like, very clearly, I think maybe instinctively wanted to slow it down a bit and get more into half court sets, but like they weren't. They're like, okay, I've got an early shot, I'm gonna take it. I think there were a couple of air balls in the first quarter, but it was like, that felt like a good air ball. Yeah. It felt like you're doing what the coach is telling you. And, God, I feel like Borlase had, I'm trying to see how many steals she had. She had 4 steals. I feel like 3 of them came in like the first 5 minutes of the first quarter. Like, she was obviously just instructed to just go out there and absolutely hound. I think Ari McDonald was she guarding for most of the game. But, whichever perimeter player for Perth she was matched up against. And yeah, like it really paid dividends there for them. I didn't see the end of the game, so I'm sure Perth just put them away in classic fashion.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I watched a full basketball game. I think it was the WNBA finals.
Wow,
it would have been the last time I watched like a game from wire to wire. I've spent since the start of the NBA season. I don't think I've watched an NBA game in full, other than when we've been together. But even then, I'm not watching the whole game.
No.
But yeah, I've just been floating between games. I'm at work. At work, I have a screen for basketball, which is probably bad for productivity. But like, I just float between games. I have like League Pass open, 9 now, Kaio, just everything open, and I just jump between games. Like, oh, I want to see what happened at this part. I want to see what happened at this part. So I guess that answers your question.
Great. Perth Lynx. There you go.
On the Adelaide side of things, I feel like they've shown great spurts of basketball, but I feel like they just haven't been able to sustain a game. Like they haven't been able to sustain good play for a whole game, which I think is a depth thing more than anything else. And Steph Talbot coming back is huge. The trickle-on effect of that will be huge. You could genuinely run her for 40 minutes if you wanted to, and I'm sure she would want to. But yeah, I just think that would be like a 2-3. You could honestly play her at the 4, and then also she can just like run the offense as well if you want. But yeah, I feel like splitting her minutes, when she joins the rotation, that'll by way of her being such a great starter, add to their depth.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Like Brianna Turner played 39 minutes in this game, and like if she's not doing the playmaking, it's Izzy Borlase, which is great because she's young and exciting. But like Brianna Turner also has so many other responsibilities, like so many defensive responsibilities. On top of that, like Steph Talbot will just be like a huge relief to that.
It's also so great, and Izzy Borlase is a huge, example of this. But like, man, Aussie basketball is just so good, and it's like, and she's 19. Well, she'll realistically players are playing until they're 30. Players playing until they're 40 today.
Yeah.
So it's like they will be playing until they're at least 40 when she's 40 in 21 years. So like, the next. I wrote down here the next 15 years. It's just like reassuring as an Aussie basketball fan. It's the next 20.
Yeah.
And like we've always had good talent, but like it's always reassuring to see more come along.
It was fun looking at her. I can't remember what site it was, but like some profile of her, and it's like WNBA draft eligibility 2026. Like,
oh my god!
Like she has to, but she'll be playing at least another 3 years exclusively in the WNBL before she's then potentially like an option for the WNBA.
Yeah, I wonder.
Which is like at the moment you're like, okay, this isn't a WNBA player, but like when you're 19 years old, and you're getting 30 to 35 minutes in this league, like there's so much development for you to make.
Also, when you're like having a great game with Brianna Turner, I'm sure when Brianna Turner returns to the WNBA, and she's talking to whatever team she plays for next season, whichever coaches are coming in, new players are going in and out. I'm sure it'll come up in conversation at some point. Oh, I was playing with this one chick, Izzy, in Australia, and she's like
5'11".
She's 93 levels. She's really got it. I feel like she's, and then she gets on the radar that way.
Great. Thanks for revealing the WNBA scouting system for our listeners, Lukas.
The NBA moves so quickly these days, it's hard to keep up. Shams and Woj are breaking stories left and right, but the Quick Time Out is right there with them to keep you informed on the latest NBA news. Stop in and let us break it down as it happens. Find the Quick Time Out on the Deep 2 Podcast Network.
All right. What do we got? Where do we got up next?
Should we talk about the classic rivalry, the Tale of Two Cities?
No, don't do it. Don't do it to him. Potentially the last game of round 2.
I'm looking at my notes here, and it's definitely the last game of round 2.
Yeah. So the jury's still out on whether it is or isn't the last game of round 2. But you're of course talking about the Melbourne Boomers and the Sydney Flames. Are you not, Marco?
Yes, that is correct. So the Boomers beat the Flames 95-80. Just like another insane game from Jordan Canada. Probably Sarah Blitzar's best game of the season or most comfortable game of the season.
Let me just get the box score up.
And just like, I really don't know what to make of this Sydney team yet. Like I feel like I came in with very, very high expectations of them. And with the Boomers, I was like, all right, well, the roster is like unrecognizable from last season. Like there's going to be like, there's going to be a lot, there's going to be a lot of growth and time getting to know each other. But like they're 3-0. Yeah. They just put together 3 wins really easy. Like, not easily, but like without really breaking too much of a sweat.
Yeah, I think that's a positive sign. I think I also thought there were going to be some gelling pains, and also not having Christy Wallace. Like, she can get 20. Like she can just get 20 any night. And Jordan Canada, I feel like it was easy to see Tiffany Mitchell's role being filled by someone else, an import especially.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like Jordan Canada's done her role. I feel like she's brought her own game to the Boomers, and she's been such a good playmaker. And when Chrissy Wallace comes back, she'll be even better. And yeah, as this team gels more and more, she'll only get better as a playmaker. I would say that it's fair to say that this was, Sarah Blitzarv's best game so far. And I was going to say one other thing that I being 3-0, and getting these 3 wins in 3 completely different ways, I think are really promising as well. Because like if they have found a way to win these games, there's that thing where it's like it's basketball, sure, but then at the end of the game it becomes a bit more about winning.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see that they've been able to just nut out those wins in each situation, especially that first game against. This is a perfect example of Adelaide and like what we were just talking about with them. You could almost say Adelaide played a better game than them.
100%.
Like round
100%.
1, game 1 of the season.
The first half of that game, like the Boomers looked bad.
Yeah, they genuinely looked bad.
Really bad.
Yeah, it was concerning. I was like, there's growing pains, but then this is different from that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they found a way to win. I feel like great signs early. Still don't really know what the positives are from this team, and I'm excited and it's promising that they've gotten these wins, and you still don't really know what like a Boomers win looks like.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just make one final thing on the Boomers, and I want to ask you about Sydney. Mon Conti racked up 34 disposals for the Richmond Tigers on Sunday the 5th of November, and then she played 10 minutes for the Melbourne Boomers a week later.
Jesus. My God, I wonder what the switch must be like going from like gut running, playing footy for 4 quarters to then just like this short, sharp burst on a basketball court.
Insane.
Yeah.
One of the country's best athletes, if you can do that.
Yeah. I think so.
Sydney. What do you make of them so far?
Sydney. Oh, damn it! You made reference to the team. Okay. So this is the complete opposite of Melbourne. I feel like they are going to need some time. I feel like it is like the most too early to tell thing I've ever seen for a basketball team, especially a basketball team that has championship aspirations and is built for that as well. Tess Madgen to come back and the Australian Chelsea Gray, according to Kayla George.
Friend of the show.
I did mention this in my Perth thing as well, but no lead ever feels safe against Perth. Flip side, for Sydney, anytime they're down 10, it looks like it's just done.
Yeah,
like it's insurmountable. It just doesn't feel like they're going to go on a run, a 10-point, a run that they completely suffocate their opponent and like retake back the lead. But I just think that that's how they look now, and that this team is going to be so good. Yeah. And when at the end of the season, it's going to be so much fun to watch this team. But I think it's just interesting to watch this is growing pains, and it's interesting to watch that. But I think you have to give them the benefit of the doubt, and it's just too early to tell.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like with such a small sample size, like these players who've spent like 2 weeks in training camp most of the time, like maybe like a couple of good training sessions is all it takes to be like that much better than the other roster at this point in time.
True.
So there's 2 more teams in the WNBL.
Yeah. Wait, but
sorry.
Yeah, as you said, 2 weeks to gel. Kayla, who I actually interviewed on this very podcast, she had 1 session with the team before the start of the season, and like she's like probably she'll be like the core part of their I would say offense, and she'll be like the defensive anchor.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably what she already is being used as. So yeah, that'll be a 2-way thing, not only for Kayla but for the rest of the team.
Sorry, jump on that again. Sarah Blitzarv, who you also interviewed on this show, in that first game against Adelaide, like you could just tell she didn't know where anyone would be on the floor at any given time. And like Kayla's 2 weeks behind that.
Yeah.
This side, as I guess the leader, as the same sort of leader as Blitzarves is for the Boomers, Kayla is for Sydney in this situation.
Yeah, and to jump on that, I feel like I'm not moving any mountains here, but Blitzarves is still like far from her best.
Definitely.
But you can look like the macro picture is she has been the starter on the only 3-0 team in the league, playing half an hour a night. You have to be part of the wins if you're on the court for that long. Also, you said her last game was her best. She shot 40% from the field, 50% from three, which and her splits are at 27 and 33. So they would have been horrible from games 1 and 2, and they're only going to get better.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah. So there are 2 teams left, Marco. There's the Spirit of Bendigo and the Capitals of UC. And I feel like it's been quite positive so far. One of these teams I'm positive on. One of these teams I'm actually not too prosperous about.
Okay, would you care to share?
Would you care to guess?
I think you're not going to be super hot on the Capitals of UC.
No.
Really?
I am no, I'm not super hot on them. But the Bendigo Spirit, I just don't really get the vision.
Right.
I'm not too sure what the next step is for the team. I feel like Ali Wilson's moving well, playing really nice, creating really nicely off the wing. Callie Wilson's doing like a great job of running the show. Abby Wayrung's 3-point percentage will only get better. But it just looks like points are a bit of an issue from time to time. And it just looks like if they do get stopped and their momentum is, if their momentum is stopped, it just feels like that. If they get stuck in it for a really long time, and I just don't know where the points are going to come from. And then I also just don't really know if this team is like a season away or a few moves away from becoming a finals team. But early on, I just don't think that they're a finals team.
Yeah. Okay, that's completely fair.
Thank you, bro.
And what makes you feel better about the Capitals?
What makes me feel better about the Capitals? I feel like they stay in their stuff and they keep energy throughout the whole game. Jade Melbourne, who I had on this show, she was talking about how they have watch the offensive glass and watch how much energy they're going to bring to the glass, and that was in full display with Alex Sharp's first game for the season. 21 boards from memory.
Right, yeah.
It was either 21 boards and 19 points or the other way around. Irregardless, massive. If you can get 21 boards in 2 games, that's 2 really good games. Yeah. And she did that in 1. But yeah, I like that they stay in their stuff. But yeah, and they're super young, and I think that most of their losses come from that inexperience. And they seem to be giving up a lot of open layups and a lot of free throws. And I looked it up. I looked up the fouls per game per team. They average 24 fouls per game. Team in second averages 18.7.
Yeah.
So that is 130% the amount of fouls as the team that's in second. Not even league average. So yeah, I think that's where they lose their games. Defensively, they're just very patchy. And I feel like defensively they kind of just get completely dominated from time to time. But offensively they do seem to retain their own identity. But they're super young as well, and I feel like they got great fans. I think they have really great fans. But I feel like there's something building, you know?
Yeah. No, I can completely respect that. They are a super, super young team. But yeah, I mean, let's see how they improve.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to say about this first 2 rounds of the WNBL season, Lucas?
No, it was good. I thought we should have done a mood setter.
Yeah.
I thought we should have talked about that we had Macca's before the episode. Now, long-time listeners might be like, "Oh, Lucas, Marco, you guys sound awful." And long-time listeners will also note that we always complain after getting Crocs and Rooster or Macca's before an episode. We got Macca's before this episode, and I think it's drained all of the energy I had left for the day.
Yeah.
It just drained it completely.
But I still think, look, we're sitting at half an hour here.
Yeah.
And we were talking the whole time. Secondly, I'm actually glad we didn't do a table setter with that because, again, anyone trailing immediately from the Kayla George episode into this episode would have been greeted by, two blokes in their mid to late 20s talking about how they feel tired because they ate McDonald's.
True. Yeah. Well, if you came this far, thank you.
Yeah, now you probably appreciate it.
Yeah. Like, I thought that something was funny.
You've listened to the episode. You've probably enjoyed yourself. You've learned something along the way. And now you get to find out the McDonald's.
Yeah, and wherever you're listening to this, whether it be on Apple, Spotify, switch over to one of the other apps and listen to it for 1 minute, and then watch us on YouTube, and then listen to it, and then make a comment and subscribe and share it, because it really helps a lot.
Listener attention, folks.
All right. Well, speaking of listener attention, see you in the next one.